Get them fired up and get them to the staging lanes, baby, because 8th Mile Apparel is now carrying Going Bracket Racing merch. Hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and much more can be yours today by visiting 8thmileapparel.com. We appreciate each and every one of you guys supporting the Going Bracket Racing YouTube and Facebook pages.
Transmission fluid, rear end oil, anything you need. Proform Parts. Visit proformparts.com and check out their new brushless radiator fans. 50% more cooling power in a lower profile setting, I guess you could say. But you got any of those little bitty areas, you got a Pro Charger on your car, like me, you got not a lot of room, Proform's got a brushless fan to fit right in there, give you way more cooling power at that. Look at that. George took me off the screen right there. He's trying to get everything going. We'll get it all figured out. Crew Chief Pro software. Contact Don over there at crewchiefpro.com. Get those dial-ins figured out. It's getting a little hot outside. Don will get you figured out on that. And the Easy Light. Call the Sandlins out there. Get that Easy Light whenever you're filling up your alcohol, especially in the dark. You can see that fuel level real easily. And as always, you can't see it because George got me off the screen right now. But you see some Door Trucks Rule on his side of the store. You see some Tree Chopper shirts. You see some Going Bracket Racing shirts. 8thmileapparel.com is where you get all that stuff. They got hats too. So let's see if George can hear us quite yet.
Oh, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you just fine.
I just can't get you back on video real quick. So here in a little bit, we might cut to some early commercial breaks to get old Casey back on the screen there and allow me a little bit of time to work behind the scenes. The problem is I have to hang up on him in order to bring him back on the screen here. So if we do that, it's going to be a couple more seconds longer. But Casey, man, I know they can't see you on the screen. Heard you got a chance to get out there with old Champ at the racetrack. I believe you guys went out to Kinston. Was it Coastal? You have to keep me honest because y'all got more tracks than anybody I know in about an hour radius that there is in the dang United States in the first place. So heard you guys got to get out. Let me know kind of how that went down, and I'll keep working on my end.
Yeah, man, there isn't a whole lot to write home about, to be honest with you. My car was really good, and I screwed up the finish line. I was hitting the tree good. I was driving good, except for that end of the track. So it failed for me. Dylan was actually doing really well. I think he was like foot braking. He was like 20, 10, 15, and then he'd come up 2 red in the round he couldn't buy back. So we were all kind of just moseying along. They had CCRA out there. Man, it was probably the most cars that I've ever seen at Kinston since I've been out there. I know my buddy Michael Crumpler, he always said, man, when CCRA's here, this is what Kinston looked like when I was growing up, is what he always tells me. So great to see that many people out at a local facility, a smaller facility at that. I want to say I feel like they said 170 or maybe even 200 cars on site, or entries at least. I don't know that there were a ton of people double entered. So, I mean, yes, great outcome for Kinston. I'm glad to see them getting some money into the facility.
Yeah, man, that's definitely perfect. So, guys, like I said before, we're going to cut to a quick early commercial break. I guess that's just perfect time for you guys to hit that share button, get your friends in here. Let's talk. Let's have a good open discussion today. We're going to have a couple of good topics here. So about a minute here. Bear with me. We will be right back with more here on Going Bracket Racing. Hang in there.
Innovation never sleeps at Proform, and we're making our popular Black Race Series carburetors even better by adding new features that will set them apart from the competition. Some of the newest features include a newly designed main body with contoured Venturas for better airflow, and a new inside and outside 2-step down leg boosters for increased atomization and better throttle response. Also, newly designed fuel bowls with increased internal baffling for better fuel control and a lower fuel ramp for reduced turbulence. There are also some new upgrades to point out. The fuel bowls now both include nitrofill floats, and the throttle base plate now has slabbed shafts for better airflow. These new features, combined with a fully adjustable high-flow main body with screw-in air bleeds, billet metering blocks, high-performance billet throttle base plate, and aluminum fuel bowls with sight glass windows, makes for a great street strip carburetor that packs a punch.
Where were we?
I don't know. I don't know if anyone else knows either, because it looks to me like Tom Worthington in here said I was deaf. Now I'm blind. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they couldn't hear. I don't know what was going on, but here we are, evidently.
What did they put in this cup? Obviously, I'm struggling technically today, and I think we're all good. If you guys can hear us all good, hit the 1 in the chat. I think everybody could hear us. Thanks for bearing with us. Hey, might as well shout out Proform, giving us the opportunity to show everybody in the GBR community what they have as far as carburetors, fans, all that good stuff. I know Casey's intro may have been cut off there for a little bit, so I'm going to run through them all. Driven Racing Oil, thank you for everything you do. If you guys haven't tried that Speed Clean, go watch Dylan Champion's product review. I promise you'll understand that Speed Clean will take rubber off of your car in a matter of seconds. Not minutes, just seconds, and maybe just a tiny bit of elbow grease, not a whole lot. You know, you kind of dig it in, making swirls in your car. That's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So give a shout out over there. Check that out. BRG 3D Printed Motorsports, parts, TSR Racing Products, Team 14 Motorsports, EZ Light. You got to fuel that car at night, you choose that EZ Light. Syntex Printing, your ad here. That's George and Casey over here at GBR. Ken Jones Racing Performance. 8th Mile Apparel, get you some gear. I know I heard him talking about the Tree Chopper shirt and stuff like that. So, Casey, man, I guess we can get it moving and have a good show now, since we've kind of, for all but lack of better terms, started all the way over with this episode.
Yeah, man. One topic I feel like we have visited in the past, but it's something that needs to be brought back up, and that would be the buyback scenario, because at this point we're getting so many cars with these big money races that either A, the races aren't finishing. This has been happening for a couple years now, consistently, which is a good thing, because it means that the sport is thriving, and it means that people aren't going away. People are continuing to come. I remember during COVID, everybody was like, man, this is an anomaly year. I was one of the people that said that. It's an anomaly year because of the fact that there were a lot of people that they don't know when they're going to get to race again. Some people, that was the only time they got to race, was when they went to a make a money race. We had 2 $1 million payouts that year. We had I want to say Peter Biondo had one of the 500K races at Bristol that I believe Hunter Patton won. Starting that string of I believe that was the string when Hunter just went on a tear after that. But anyway, what are we going to do about this? Because on one hand, the Flyers say time permitting. So people are saying, okay, well, that's saying right there that time permitting, we will have buybacks. Time doesn't permit, we won't. Okay. Is it a point now where we need to say, if there are over X number of entries, we will not have buybacks? So let's just start with that, because I have a couple segues in this, but we know how I get. So we'll just start with that.
Yeah. Hang on to your seats, guys. But wait, hey, this is a perfect place to start, honestly, Casey. I feel like, everybody here, if you're new to GBR, you may have heard us talk about this once or twice before, and I may have brought this up then, Casey. But you remember when we were younger, and the Micro Mini Machines commercial used to come on, and that old boy used to read through the back or the packages, or telling us what was included and what was not included, but it was at the pace of like an auctioneer or something. I feel like Flyers need to become just like that, where you got to take even if you have to take a magnifying glass to look and see what's in this flyer, one major segment of that flyer needs to mention buybacks. And if we're at a certain amount of cars at this event, if there is a curfew at said track, whatever the case may be, the buyback situation has to be looked at. And so I'm definitely with you that there's need to revisit, and I don't care what form we revisit it in. It could be a post on Drag Race Results. I think they still allow forums, or whoever allows forums. Make a post out there, and let's get as many people on the forum to talk about it as we can. Go on bracket racing. Hey, we'll do it. You know what I'm saying? Let's put a post out there and see what is the best way to move forward. But something has to happen, Casey. I know you got an idea on the matter.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is going to be, the majority of the show today. We're going to talk about this, but I'm already seeing in the chat, and I know Tom Worthington is a guy that I know personally, and I know that he flat out, even if there is buybacks, he won't buy back because he doesn't believe in them. Old racers in here saying they didn't have buybacks 30 years ago, one and done, way better that way. Him and Tom must be of the same era, it looks like. Just saying. But anyway, I wonder if it's to the point now where we're getting so much participation. I said I have a lot of segues here, and here's one of them. Do these need to start being single entry events? Because we don't necessarily need to get rid of buybacks. And I totally understand that aspect of, I saw someone was commenting during the fling saying, man, I just drove all the way over here across the country and now we don't have buybacks and I'm single entered and I want a buyback. Well, maybe they need to start being single entry anyway, because we're having so many that we can't get the races done. So now, that being said, I already know, before everybody jumps all over this, I know the reason the payouts can be that high is because there's doubles. So that's an issue here. So we could go right into that, because that's the number one deciding factor here. Presumably, if we're not allowing double entries, which I would venture to say probably 75% of all people at these big money races are double entered, that presumably will cut the purse, let's just say roughly in half. Let's just say, so if you're running for 50, now you're running for 25, but you had to pay half as much money to get in. So it's realistically the same deal. It's the same percentage base. Now let's just make the numbers easy. $1,000 to run for 25 grand for 3 days, or 50 grand for 3 days. Same amount of money is if you're paying $500 now, because now you're not doubled and you're running for 25, same percentage. So it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. And man, if 75% of people are doubled, as a promoter, we're in trouble if we take doubles away. So I'm cheating, Casey. I'm looking on YouTube as well. And AJ Casper is making comments here. And I'm liking some of what he's saying here. Is just, if we do something, it's hard to take away doubles if 75% of people are double, because we won't get the 20 granders, the 50 granders, even the 100 granders for that matter. So it's tough for me to just say, let's just get rid of doubles. I know part of your segue is on the tip of my tongue, and I'm not going to use it because I know it's there. We can talk about it in a little bit more broader context here in just a couple more minutes. But I feel like big money bracket racing is if 75% is the number of who all is doubled, we will put big money in the grave if we take away doubles, in my opinion, unless there's 450, 500 cars on the premises. Then it survives just fine. Like we just saw it at Spring Fling a lot. He can take away buybacks because he's got that many cars and still do a very, very good job with the race. He's comfortable as the promoter throwing the race. Everything kind of is irrelevant. If we've got 500 something cars, buybacks ought to be going anyway. That's what we're talking about. So there you have it.
Yeah, and again, this is one of the ideas I came up with at this point, probably several years ago on this show, which was, I think someone needs to visit the idea of just saying, like, maybe you issue everybody a poker chip at the entry gate or whatever the case may be, but maybe it needs to go to every racer that's entered in that event gets one opportunity to buy back per day. So if you're doubled and you lose both of them, you can only buy back one. If you're a single entry, you have the opportunity to buy back one. Everybody's on the same playing field for the buyback scenario. And what that's doing is that is cutting your buybacks in half right there already. So at least that makes it to where your re-entry round, you're not running half of first round. You're running half of first round. So at least there's that. So that is a tactic that, in my opinion, needs to be implemented sooner rather than later. And that would be a better option, again, just in my opinion, rather than getting rid of buybacks altogether.
I'm with you on that too, but you also had an idea that I feel like is, and I was kind of reading at the same time, and if you mentioned this, my bad, I'm just going to bring it back up, but your idea behind the one that I thought would work the most is the fact that if you want to double, you pay it at the gate. You're not getting a buyback after that double, though. Okay, you got 2 shots at it already. Why do you need 4? Why do you need if you lose both? Besides the fact that you got money. Okay, here, let me give you an example. We're playing. Let's just say we're playing Hold'em. Okay, I got 4 of a kind. I got 4 10s in my hand, and you got 2 aces, but you just keep pushing the pot on me. You just keep pushing it. Are you now going to expect the ability to be able to go after you go all in to go back to the dealer of that table and say, hey, I need to buy back? Or are you going to walk away with your tail stuck between your legs? Right? I know a lot of people just buy back in and hold them, so it's kind of a tough idea or a tough analogy. But what do we need 4 tries for through the first 2 rounds? That's the thought process. And I see Brad Gephardt's in here. He's saying take away buybacks, but only if you can double with 1 vehicle. 1 vehicle gets the double. You don't get buybacks if you're doubled. And I feel like we won't have this conversation ever again. And that was your idea, Casey. You came up with this, I can't remember how many episodes ago, but you nailed it when you said it. If you're single entered, have your buyback. But if you're double entered, no buybacks. I don't know if you just mentioned that, but it solves everything. And if anybody can poke holes in that, that's what we need to do. We need to poke holes in that idea right there.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those scenarios where if you get rid of buybacks altogether, I understand that now or let's not even say get rid of buybacks. Let's say get rid of doubles, because obviously if we have single entries, then there's really no problem with buybacks, because if you have single entries, now all of a sudden your 547 entry Spring Fling is probably more like 375, something like that. So maybe 350 even.
Maybe
so
less,
now we don't
because
really,
we're
maybe.
assuming 75% is
Right.
the number. And Ryan Gleckhorn popped in here a little bit ago. He says it's nowhere near 75. But use the number just to keep the conversation
Yeah,
moving. You know what I'm
saying?
saying?
Generic numbers. I don't have any. I'm not Michael Beard, guys. I don't have all the numbers. I'm just saying
keep the doubles.
That, and I wouldn't be surprised if he pops in and tells us the numbers
something.
if he's not busy tonight. But but the facts are the facts, man. At the end of the day, I would just like to see, before getting rid of buybacks, before making it only a single entry event, I would just like to see one entry per, or one buyback per driver per day, and see how that affects it. Because as far as I know, no one has tried that yet, and it's the only other option that's left.
Doubled or not, you get one buyback.
You get one buyback, no matter what. I don't care if you have 15 entries somehow, like the old 10 tuck used to be, or whatever.
Right. And we can talk about that too, Casey, because we had this conversation very briefly about the old mega bucks, where you can have 4 entries, but you ain't buying back not on one of them jokers.
But there's no buyback.
You ain't buying back not on one of them jokers. You got 4 colors. If you want to come out here and race for 50,000, because that was super mega bucks. I remember we used to pack the stands out at Gateway for that. You know what I mean? Cars everywhere, in the ovals everywhere, but you get 4 colors, no buybacks. I don't see that. I feel like that will work in today's better than doubles would. You come out further ahead.
Well, the very first round, as soon as you get to first round, you're cutting everything in half. Now, whenever you allow that many entries, you're going to start out the day with 700 cars, probably. But after first round, we're down to 350. Right. After the next round, we're down to whatever half of 350 is, 175, I guess it is. So, I mean, it's getting half the time every single time. And I really think that a lot of these races, there is just too much downtime. And I mean, I think the only downtime really should be, let's do some track prep or maintenance, or let the track staff, more importantly, get some water, go to the bathroom, get some food, something like that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of downtime a lot of times whenever there's weather coming in or things like that, and 5 minutes, 10 minutes here and there adds up and adds up and adds up. And and I'm not trying to bash track staff. I'm the number one person that says never ever bash a track or staff or anything, because they're doing what they do so you can do what you're doing, but it starts with them.
Yep.
So go ahead.
I kind of want to take the whole staff idea and run with it, and keep your eyes on your chats, because Facebook's rolling through pretty hard on some chats here. But Brad Gephardt makes a pretty solid point, and it's always going to be the first argument, in my opinion, to this whole buyback scenario, where ideas could potentially take money from the tracks and the promoters. And I feel like that's always going to be the case. It is, in a sense, unless you have 500 cars on the premises, and then neither one does anything. It doesn't do anything after that fact. And so, and like you're going to say, go ahead.
This doesn't apply to your weekly event. This applies to the events that, in this scenario, we're utilizing the spring fling as an example because it just happened. And this is only applying to these insane car counts. That's the only time this stuff's applying. It doesn't, right. And this can be fine print stuff. This can be a scenario where, let's say that same spring fling event had 275 cars. Let everybody buy back. No big deal. Just put in the fine print. If we have over X number of cars, we're going to one buyback per driver at the event or something like that.
Here's the main reason why it kind of has to happen too. And it's not necessarily like I'm trying to force it to happen, but if you pay attention to your customer base, a lot of these people, they travel based on the flyer itself. And if the flyer says you get a buyback and you can double for 1,000 a week or 1,000 the weekend, then dang it, you got to do what the flyer says. And if you deviate from that flyer any little inkling, you better hope your event's just fun. Okay, you're out there, all the drivers are smiling, everything's happening. I'll give you an example. Midstate had their Twin 10. The first weekend of the Twin 10s was this week. I mean to tell you, every image that I saw, from videos to pictures to live stream, or people going live on their Facebook accounts, everybody was smiling. And so it makes it easier for the person who's maybe a little chapped up or a little bit chafed because they're a little mad about no buybacks. If they're having a lot of fun, maybe it's easier to get over the fact that there's no buybacks in the situation. But if you come to an event thinking that there's going to be a buyback and that buyback is not there, technically there are going to be, and most likely there are going to be people who are a little bit taken aback by that. We just traveled this far. I got my butt kicked at 9:35 a.m. and I can't buy back. What am I going to do from 9:30 to 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, except for sleep around midnight or 12 or whatever the case may be? But what am I going to do here? Just sit here?
I'll tell you.
You know?
I'll tell you what you do. Because if we don't have buybacks and the race gets over that much sooner, now we have more time for the gamblers races that used to always happen at these big races.
Touche.
It's very recent that we stopped having those because of not being able to figure out the car count / buyback scenario. And now all of a sudden we have gamblers races again, which I've always thought the gamblers races were always kind of the most fun, because that's whenever somebody gets in somebody else's car, or somebody else over here started drinking beer and didn't know they were going to have a gamblers race. So they got this guy's kid. That's what happened to me whenever I was running. Yeah, that's how I ended up running Barry Green's car that one time at Megabucks. But, which, by the way, never sat in that car and ended up getting to like 4 of them. We were started out dialed 504 and ended the night dialed like 482 or something like that. But anyway, but it was fun because you don't expect to win. So it goes back to forcing you to have fun.
You got to have fun, dude. You know what I'm saying? And people come out. A lot of people have already been eliminated. A lot of people have already hit the cooler. So where are they going to be? They're going to be close to the starting line or at the 8th mile, which Live from the 8th mile is based on virtual 8th mile, based on everybody who's already been eliminated, but they're at the top end cheering on their guys. Like, I can remember being at TB's Twin 50s, which if you snoozed, you lost because it's already sold out, okay? So if you didn't get into Twin 50s for the top bulb, you ain't getting in. It's that easy, okay? Unless you get lucky and a couple of days before somebody's on Facebook saying, hey, I got a couple of entries that I've already kind of paid the deposit for and my engine broke, or I dropped the valve and took everything else out underneath the motor with it. That's about the only way you're getting in there. But I went to that event a couple years back, and I said we were at 8th mile. I mean, to tell you, there's probably 100 people sitting out at the stands at 8th mile, just sitting there watching and cheering. And then I think Pelosi ended up winning the race, and probably 80% of the racers at 8th mile was Gateway in the first place. So you know how that went down. That was just fun. But that's the type of thing that you get to do, you know? What do you got on YouTube? I bet you there's some comments over there. I'm still watching the Facebook side here. What if you make a draw?
They've been rolling through a lot. I haven't really been reading them, to be honest with you, because they keep going off the screen every time that I read something. So I can't really keep dialogue with it right now.
Cody Newman's got something that's pretty interesting here. He says, what if you make a draw for like buybacks, and then like 100 spots are available, but only 25 cars can actually get back in the race? It's almost like a jackpot, for instance. And I've seen SFG do this, I think, to where he maybe had drawings and maybe did 20 something of them, and then 20 got back in, but the other 5 got like $250 or something back because their name got drawn or something like that. What do you think about that, Casey? More of only a jackpot to get back in. Here's your second chance jackpot.
I am not a fan of the jackpot.
But in place of buybacks is what I'm saying. Now, not being a fan of it because you've already had a buyback, I understand. But if we took buybacks away completely and said, here's jackpot, many entries did you want to buy into this bad boy? They're $10 a ticket. I'm taking 25 people from the jackpot, and those are our actual buybacks, to where there's only 25 cars that get back into the race instead of half of the field.
No, I don't like jackpot no matter what the circumstance. I don't care if it's $1. I don't like jackpot because it's always putting people in right into the split.
Nope, you're missing it. Nope, you're missing it. This jackpot or this entry is first round. As soon as you lose first round, there are no buybacks. But as many times as you want to come up here to the buyback window, quote unquote, the jackpot window, and buy your way back in, we're going to take 25 people who actually tried to enter this jackpot and put them back in to second round. Not the split, not the nothing.
That's even worse, because now you're depending 100% on luck just to get in, and you're talking about now money's buying you in. It's not you winning into the next round. So I don't like jackpot in any scenario. I don't care what it is, when it is. I do not like it.
Well, Cody, I guess you got your answer from that one. I actually like it, man. I do. I think that if we take away buybacks, and there are people who have lost first round and would like to get back into the race and would gamble their way back in, money or not, only 25 people are coming, but you got back in. I'm okay with that one. Just because we've cut the race in half already, and only 20, and there's no money otherwise in the pot. Yeah, I think I like that one a little bit, Casey. That's a pretty good idea out of Cody. What we got, dude? You want to cut the commercial? It's 4:30. We can keep going. We push our way through this topic for a while, dude.
I feel like I have a topic that could be a longer conversation, so we might as well. This would be a good time to go to commercial and come back with the next idea, I would say.
There you have it, guys. Hang in there. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back after these messages. Thanks to our marketing partners. Thanks to GBR community. Hit that share button. Be right back.
We've completely redesigned our best-selling thermostat fan to make it even better. Proform's high-performance universal 15-inch electric fan is the perfect upgrade to replace the stock fan in your vehicle. It's equipped with a thermostat that's adjustable from 160 to 240 degrees. Mounted to your radiator supports with sturdy brackets and driven by a heavy-duty motor, this unit pulls up to 2,800 CFM of air with a 14-amp current draw. All mounting hardware and wiring are included.
BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts are able to provide you with whatever you desire to enhance your drag racing operation. Items like safety belt magnets, nitrous bottle holders, and even quick release delay box mounts are able to be obtained from BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts. Have a look at top selling items such as helmet hooks and steering wheel hooks, which are proven to make it easier to maneuver throughout your race car. You can contact BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts at telephone number 765-729-1177.
All right, everybody, we're back. We only had one or two commercials right there. Short little commercial break because of the technical difficulties earlier in the stream. But my next thought, and this was the one that I thought could go a little bit longer, was because it's gone both ways. It's gone absolutely not, and I think now we're to the point where it needs to be reconsidered again, and that's capping races. The facts is that when we're getting 500, 600, 700 cars, everybody, I don't really think there's anyone out there that's like, man, I love racing with 700 cars. I love it.
Shoot.
The only thing they love about it is that those 700 cars, if you consider 700 cars coming, is typically the entry fee will be able to be lower. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it has the ability to be lower. But you can't depend on 700 cars coming. The only way that you can basically guarantee that your race is going to have X amount of cars and have X amount of entries is to cap races. The only way to cap a race is to have pre-entry. So I guess I'm going to throw it out there. Should we start capping some of these large, well-attended races again?
It's tough because we have some that are already capped. For instance, TBs. Why is it sold out already? Well, it's capped. I think he took 375. You know what I mean? And if I'm quoting him right, and which I am, Kevin Brandon made a post today, and I believe he got a chance to make it to the TB race, and commented at how well ran that race was, and how much fun, and how much he's looking forward to the next event. So personally, I don't think I've ever been against capping races in the first place, and having a pre-entry deal and opening up the website. I actually like the commotion and watching said website break, because I'm a nerd, because there's too much traffic coming through the internet, and all of a sudden everything's going haywire and nobody can buy an entry in the first place. I like watching Spring Fling Boys sell out Bristol in like 2 minutes. Okay, that's fun to me. I enjoy that. So honestly, man, I would actually lobby that all races need to be pre-entered, in my opinion, to some extent. Maybe $100 deposit, maybe an option to pay it all at the gate, but something that protects the promoter on both ends. You have your purse protected, and you also have the amount of cars that you have protected so that you can uphold your flyer. And that's what we're talking about in the first place. So, yeah, man, I'm all for that idea. I have a feeling that quite a few more people in the GBR community will be for the actual capping of races as well. Personally,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you could have an option to pay the whole thing when you come in the gate, and that's simply because you're holding a spot open. So now let's say there's, let's say you're entry number 1 and there's 350 car cap. Now there's only 349 the promoter can sell. So they need some sort of thing that says, hey man, are you coming or not type thing.
The hard part is we've been here, and that's kind of why I mentioned it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where people are like, okay, you can pay it all at the gate, but then you don't show up. Or what was it? 50 Cent paid all the money to go to a Ja Rule concert. Like for the first 5 rows of the Ja Rule concert, he bought every single ticket. And then nobody showed up in the first 5 rows because 50 Cent owned all of them. So I don't want to ever see that scenario. Not saying that it would ever happen, but I don't ever want to see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The only way to do it is, first of all, you have to oversell the cap, because there are going to be people that pull out the last minute for various reasons. Like it could be anything. Car could break. Sickness in the family, like sickness of yourself. There could be a million different reasons why you can't make it. So there has to be some sort of deposit, which can or can't be non-refundable, depending on what the promoter wants to do. I think 99% of all promoters try to work with you as best they can to get your money back, but you shouldn't be able to expect it back, just like anything else in life. But I do think we need to get to the point of capping races again, and people need to realize that you don't need to pay the whole entry fee up front. I totally understand the fuss that happened 3 or 4 years ago at this point with capping races. Yeah, you shouldn't pay your full entry up front, because what if the promoter goes under? What if something happens? There could be a million different scenarios. We're dealing with so many people that no one really truly knows, so I understand that way of thinking, but you do need to pay maybe half of it to hold your spot, just like you would for concert tickets or anything else. That's just how the world works. Whenever you're talking about money changing hands, it just is what it is. Yeah. So maybe pay half the entry fee up front to hold your spot. If you can't go, then you can transfer it to somebody, but that's your duty to sell your spot, maybe. If you can't, then the money's gone. If you can, good for you.
Yeah, and the only thing I fear is that we've been down this road a little bit, especially on one segment that you mentioned there, Casey, about overselling the cap. That's been a sore in several people's rear end as a promoter that I've watched. I have never felt this, right? But I've read it, I don't know how many times. Oh, he oversold his cap. Oh, he oversold the cap and didn't put the money back into the racer's pocket. Oh, he's just money grabbing. I like it because it's protective. Just like you said, everybody should have just the slight ability to oversell it. For instance, how many TB entries did I see on Facebook this week before the 100K event, or the shootout, and then the 50s that he had at Bowling Green? Well, I saw several. I want to say I saw at least 10 entries that were for sale because something happened to said car, or something happened in life that says I can't come. Well, if he's oversold by a few entries, he's safe. He doesn't lose out. But that's a sore subject too. So,
or
I don't know where.
This is something that Luke does at his races at the Summer Door Car Shootout there at I-57. Dylan Champion, run an alternate list. He says alternative, but I know what he means.
Right.
Run an alternate list, and then that way, whenever, of course, you wouldn't know about that until people, that. Now that I say that and I hear myself saying it, it's tough because I know Luke contacts all of his people and says, hey, man, you coming? Yes, 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 no, yes, no. Okay, I got this many alternates. Now start calling down the alternate list. If you have 400 cars, I mean, I can't imagine how much. I can't imagine how many phone calls Luke and Jess have to make, and we're talking usually double that.
I think you're leaving out one aspect of what Luke does, though, is that in his race, the Summer Door Car Shootout, if you've never raced the Summer Door Car Shootout, you're not invited yet. It's almost like an invitation-only race, to where he calls out to the people who have already attended the Summer Door Car Shootout to make sure that they're coming, and then that is how I believe that's
Right.
how his alternate list is made. I like that too. That could actually be adopted quite a bit more, in my opinion, too. You frequent
Well-
this event, we make sure you get your entry because you've already frequented it before, so we're not going to penalize you by letting somebody else buy through. Go ahead.
Well, let me explain that. And I understand what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying to a point.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why the Summer Door Car Shootout is that way, in my opinion, is because it's more of a race. It's a big race for the locals, and it's something that's looked forward to every year, and it is what it is. But I've personally been to, I want to say, 3 or 4 of those races, and I don't think there's any way I would ever be able to get in another one, because I think this is the 12th or 13th one.
That's a bunch.
Dude, there's probably, over 150 people that have been to all.
Every one of
So,
them. Yep.
I mean, I think my dad's been to like 6 of them or something like that, and I don't think he would ever be able to get in again. So I don't like that aspect. The reason his is that way also is because you can only fit so many cars there.
At Benton. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just how it is. But
Yeah.
it also neglects the people who would want to try going to one of these larger races. So I don't like that scenario, because also what you would eventually run into would be in the future. Let's just take someone, for example, that's pretty much at all the big money races this year in particular. Donnie Burleson, your buddy.
Yep.
Donnie Burleson's been at all these big money races this year. If he's not going to one, he could put his name on the list in the scenario you've just given, buy 2 entries and say, I can't make it, so you're going here now. Or here, I can buy entries. I'm not planning on going. And George, you said you want to go, so I'll just get your entries for you. Then that's possible, and I don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I like how Luke's doing it, put it that way. And you are right, because I think because of it's a local race, it's able to be done. You don't have so much outside interference, even if there's just a little bit from bigger name racers who want to come and support Luke and have for the last however many years. I wonder if it might become something that Midstate looks at, to be honest, with that many 10Ks over that course of weeks throughout. I'm going to keep mentioning that because I'm just angry I'm not close enough to be able to go to that race. Casey, I'm pretty sure you and Champ and everybody else, if we had the ability to go run for 10s, weekend entry to double, I think it's 500, but 275 to get 2 entries into some 10s, that's right up our alley. And a lot of other people here in this community. But I wonder if it'll come down to eventually, because I don't know how many cars Midstate can handle. But I wonder if it'll come down to if you've participated with us before, we have a list, and if you want to get in, you're going to have to contact us, because we got a text message system that people are responding to that says we're going to be there, and we can't oversell it. Man, I wish Greg was in here right now to answer that question, to be honest. I see Jonathan Rogers asking, Greg Gephardt's, you're a track manager, what are your thoughts? But Greg's probably busy there. But
it's not a one-size-fits-all either, because there's Summer Door Car Shootout is not the same as a Spring Fling. I think Luke would agree with that.
True.
Spring Fling is not the same business model as Great American. Great American's not the same business model as SFG.
True.
It's just everybody has a different business model, and they need to find a way that best fits them. The best part about this whole conversation is this is really a positive conversation. We're trying to figure out how to get so many cars down the track every single event and make the races work better. We're not talking about how do we get people back at the track like a lot of times we are. We're talking about there's almost too many cars at the track. There's almost too many entries. So it's to the point now where it's like, man, things are good. We just need to figure out how to smooth them out.
Yeah, man. And again, the only way we're going to do that is just talk it out. You know what I mean? A lot of what we say will just be spitballing, throwing something at a wall, seeing if it'll stick. I bet it's the same way for the promoters. They'll try anything they can to make it perfect. I seen a comment in here somewhere where somebody says you're not going to please everybody. Well, ain't that the truth? There's no way to do so. So, man, I guess we got to go into it looking at it that way too. You know what I mean? But Casey, man, before we get out of here, I didn't get a chance to mention anything about that $100,000 shootout that TB had. And I didn't get to watch it much either. I had a lot going on this weekend, between barbecuing, making some ribs, and eating crawfish, and I don't know what I did Friday. I had a little get together at one of my neighbor's house, so I didn't get to watch a lot of drag racing, but I did see Tracy Sons took home the big check, I do believe, there, and I've known that name quite a while just based on big money bracket racing, but it's good to see him get one wrapped up there, and again, it's one of those events that I heard a lot of people had a lot of fun at, so maybe we'll do some research and try to highlight that TB's race at Bowling Green a little bit better there, but
I know Josh Ludke got that new Mullis dragster. I'm just saying that I said he was going to.
Yeah, it must have been, and I was there, so I got your back. It must have been like 5th or 6th round. You were like, "Oh, Luke's on a string. Nobody's winning tonight." And I'm sitting here shouting out all my door trucks because I don't know how many door trucks was down in the deep for that dragster, but there were a bunch of door trucks out there, and so it was pretty interesting, to say the least, but. Oh, man.
Yeah, great turnout, especially considering the weather everywhere, man. I know Darlington ITRA deal got rained out. VMP Triple Threat got rained out. Mooresville got rained out. TB dealt with rain. Everybody was dealing with rain.
I think they had 4 hours of rain delay.
Yep. Yeah, we got lucky, man. Yep. Down in Kinston, it was like we were in the little hole that nothing hit, man. It rained for 15 minutes and stopped. And, yeah, it worked out. I mean, a lot of, actually, well, I shouldn't say a lot, but 10 or 12 of those Triple Threat guys hurried up and ran down through there. In fact, I saw some people pull in. I looked over and I said, well, that's Ryan Gleghorn. What's he doing here? So,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, I know a lot of them flew in. It was good to get to see those guys. Never don't get to see them hardly at all, really. So it was good to get to catch up with them real quick. I think they were on their way back to Kentucky. So we'll see them all at probably on TV here any day now, I'd say.
Sidebar, too, from Midstate. I think Radlowski won that bad Sunday off the bottom.
That's unsurprising.
It's not surprising to me because we know who that is, and he took over off the bottom. But I heard a lot of good packages out there. This is again, guys. If you don't know me, I'm George. You guys, hey, what's up? I'm pretty good friends with Greg and Brad, kind of like brothers, to be honest. But and Vashon as well. But and so I'm gonna spout Midstate as much as possible here. To say the least, competition was pretty stout out there. If you were at home during that event, you didn't do the right thing. You should have been there, and you got 5 more opportunities to get there. So Midwest, Benton, St. Louis, whatever the case may be, you guys got one good program. I wish that program was in both of our areas, Casey, because that's where we'd be, man. I'm telling you, there's no way we're missing. It's a point series at that. There's no way we're missing that. All the fun's in those point series. You said that I don't know how many times.
That's right. That's 100% true, man. And the good part about the point series and the way the BMP does it at Triple Threat is, the half points deal. It basically keeps anybody in the top 25 all the way through the last race, has the ability to win points. I think when Stevie Dustin won it, he come from, I want to say 26th or 29th or something. So yeah, man, the one day, I got to say also, the one day that Triple Threat did get their race in, Blaine Parrish continues his role, man. Blaine Parrish wins again. And this is something I was talking about with Nyquez earlier today. People are forgetting Blaine is on a huge roll right now. And we all know Blaine's a great racer. I mean, if you don't know it by now, then I don't know, you've been under a rock. But Blaine's done that in 2 different cars this year because he sold the Camaro after he won all that money at Loose Rocker, which is his biggest win of the whole year. And he just continued winning in this Mustang that just right after he got it. I think he was immediately in the finals the next time he got out, first race with it. So, I mean, where will the success end for Blaine Parrish, man? Because it doesn't seem like it's happening anytime soon. But yeah, that was just something I wanted to shout out, the continued success of North Carolina racers. George.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Oh well. Hey, I tell you what, I put I might have to put my old man against a lot of those North Carolina races right now. He might have let go Trip Zip, I think, 3 times, and shoot, he got, I think he got down to 6 and blew a fuse in the vet. But man, Vashawn's Snapchatting me the races from the starting line, and I'm not there, and it's not live streamed. So hey, Vashawn, thanks a lot, man. You made my night with those Snapchats to be able to see the old man get down that deep. You know, I think he had 2 bye runs after it's all said and done. Huh?
You know who else you need to shout out is your buddy Donnie. Donnie B's been going deep everywhere he's been this year. I think he was deep in Vegas, deep in the Fling.
He was at the Fling. Yep. I'm shocked I don't have on a Burleson Construction hat, man. I've been shouting him out for weeks. He went out to Holly Springs and done some nasty. And then ever since then, it's like I'm on one. I saw him out at Port Allen out there at CP's race out for one of the CP races. I think it was a top bulber, and he was on the string there too. So, hey man, Donnie B's he's making it happen. It's gonna get real interesting real fast here, dude. Real fast. One
of the coolest races coming up too. I want to say it might be even next week is the teams race that everybody likes to see at Holly Springs.
That's right. I think Jake Hodge, I was reading his post. I think he said he's the what did he say? He's the weak link to the whole team that he's bringing out there, but still getting ready to have some fun. So I think he's struggling for a team name. Call him the Groundhogs or something. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, that's a good race, man, and it's getting ready to heat up, dude. It's getting ready to heat up around the racing world. We just started, guys.
Yeah, kind of going to be dead this weekend. But I want to say after that, it's just race after race after race, 3 and 4 races the same weekend.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see how the year plays out. I don't really feel like there's been a dominant big money racer this year. Am I the only one that has that opinion right now? I mean, I just don't feel like there hasn't been like just domination like there has been the last couple years yet.
No, not yet, man. There are those racers that are common names. For instance, Luki, Bogecki. Those names are common, and common names are taking big purses already. Donovan Williams, I hate to say it, but I called that. I mean, you called the winner before that. So, heck, man, they're kind of common, but nobody's just dominating. We haven't seen a Jeff Serra or a Hunter Patton-esque run yet. Maybe Blaine Parrish, your boy Blaine Parrish, may be on the brink of that, because you keep telling me the dude is winning just about every weekend. Now, Dylan Champion says there are two ends of the racetrack, George. I know, man. That's why he got to 6. He got to 6. You know what I'm saying? But blown fuse against KJP, Ken Jones himself, and let go off the bottom, 41. You can't do that versus Pinky. He's going to be 12, 13, somewhere in that range, and probably one above. So you let go 40 if you want to. You're going home. But, yeah, man, heck of a week. Pretty fun catching up, kind of watching through and looking through some of the results. What you got in closing, Casey? We didn't come up on that hour kind of off the cuff today, but come up on that hour, bro.
Hey, man, I'm just going to end the show with saying Blaine's #1 on the list right now for big money racers. That's all I got to say about that.
I've heard the name so many times. Is he on the big circuit like that? Is he running all the big stuff? The OG, the Bristols? Is he running it?
He runs, yeah, I mean, he doesn't run the OG. I mean, you got to understand, man, this is the thing, is that you don't have to leave the Southeast area when you live over here, because when you go travel somewhere to go racing, if you're from here, why would you ever travel more than a 4-hour radius to go racing? Because now you have all this extra money and time invested in doing this stuff when you could run triple threat at VMP. It's like 10, 20, 10, and then their mega bucks, I think it's 25, 75, 25. Or you can run 350s at the Fling over here. Or you can run, triple threats 4 times a year. So that's already a bunch. Then you got loose rocker, where those were 240s is what it turned out to be. Blaine won both of them. It's
y'all got it all. There's no question about it.
Don't forget our normal weekly races. Like next weekend at Galat, we have 2 days of $5,000 to win. Darlington's regular races are 2 days of $5,000 to win. Like, We just had the IHRA guaranteed 64 car shootout for $5,000 to win. Like there's no reason, unless you just want to go, there's no reason to go further than Bristol when you live in North Carolina or South Carolina.
Well, before we get out of here, I know Old Racer ain't gonna like my comment right here. He knows I'm a fan of SFG. I'm a fan of bracket racing as a whole, to be honest. But you got SFGs at Rockingham too, and now that you brought back AJ Ash, which you and I discussed. Time to get a race director and kind of hide behind the scenes as much as you don't have to do it all. So welcome back AJ Ash, but y'all do got it all. We're just out here in Texas we get to race, but not for that big stuff y'all get to race for. So
yeah, it's just facts are facts, man. There's no reason to travel that far, and I don't think any person on here would travel that far if they didn't have to. Because it just makes no sense. You have so much, like Sean Carpenter told me whenever he went to Michigan to race a big race, he said, by the time you drive up there with a motorhome, and Sean doesn't have like a monstrous motorhome. He has a good sized motorhome and a good sized trailer, but it's not like he's got a toter and a stacker. But he said, you go up there, by the time you get up there and come back and run your generator all week, like that's like $1,900 in diesel fuel. Jeez. So it's hard to justify having that much in before entries and all that stuff. So it's tough for a North Carolina person or someone in this general vicinity or a vicinity similar to this scenario to travel whenever you don't need to.
I heard that, man. Probably a conversation we can continue on another episode of GBR. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. There you have it, guys. There's another hour worth for, I think this is episode 154 of GBR. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out all the products and services that we have aligned to our community. And maybe I'll go outside and hook up my EZ Light because I need to hook it up. I bought the switch for it yesterday. So, but until then, or until next time, that's going to be next Tuesday. And we'll see you guys then. Have a good one. Stay safe out there. And see you later.